So, first question is around evolution and what the word evolution means to you personally in the context of being queer.
Thank you so much. I think the reason that we picked evolution is what we see is that in an individual life and in the global culture, there's been this adaptation to locate ourselves and our purpose outside of our own body, outside of our lived experience, outside of our own hearts. So the work that we do individually in the Dream Academy and in Safe Place as we develop leaders, and the work that we see in the global queer rights movement, which also extends to all the other human rights movements that intersect, from women's rights to BIPOC rights to the rights of folks that have less resources, is that there's been this movement of marginalized people to gain access to the very culture that's oppressing them and to basically participate in the structures that oppress them and hold them down. And to gain entry means that they become part of this colonized system that localizes power in one place. So the option that's been available is power is centralized and someone is always disempowered and at the wrong end of the power structure. And the most you can hope for is to get on the right side of that, but not to correct the whole system. So evolution is really looking at how, as an organization, as SafePlace International, as a movement, as a global rights movement, and as individuals, we can work collectively to make sure that as one person gets empowered, another person doesn't lose power, and we actually dismantle or restructure the system so that all of our collective gifts get pooled into a collective approach, a collective wisdom. And we find that works so beautifully inside of the organization. We work on consensus. So when we have a problem or a challenge, everyone contributes, and we don't stop the conversation before we all come to a collective answer. And I know that there's lots of folks that say, oh, collectivism doesn't work because you just talk forever. And that's not our experience. And that's not the way that many queer communities work. And there's an opportunity, I think, here to take the gifts of queer community, the gifts of what we have evolved in our own organization, and scale them to look at how we can solve some of the greatest challenges facing humanity.
Very well said. Yeah, it's definitely not an easy question to answer, so
Yeah.
layered.
I mean, I think evolution is something that we're always looking at individually and collectively, and that it's really good to keep an open mind about. I think that the key to collectivism is to not on to any positions, but to keep being both receptive and active in the way that we approach everything from our own growth to the growth of the community to the objectives that will make this a more equitable world.
Absolutely.